Hi, this is Peter Capaldi. I'm the guy that plays Doctor Who. The new one, not the old guy. I am old, but now I play Doctor Who. Now! And I talk with a Scottish brogue, as you can tell. Did you know that Mike's Daily Podcast is completely independently created and produced? Did you know just about every podcast you listen to is part of a huge network, corporation, or just simply lifted off a bloody radio station? Did you know big-name podcast players like the iTunes or the Stitcher show only podcasts that pay for advertising or have big names on them from TV or film? I don't really talk this weird in real life, do I? Please do what you can to support podcast players. I'm turning Irish now, but I'm Peter Capaldi. Now, Mike's Daily Podcast.
This show is clean, pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 814. Hello, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from the last place on earth located somewhere in Podcaster Valley, California. Today it's part 2 of my Into an Interview with the Seattle band LOWLANDS. Plus we hear from Madame Rootabega, Valentino, Bison Bentley, and Europe is launching spaceships. At least their spaceships give you a decent meal on board. Yeah, nuts don't actually count as a meal. Mike's Daily Podcast. And if I were a Republican right now, Obamacare, I'd be trying to repeal Mike's Daily Podcast. And last night I tried to watch the TV show Sleepy Hollow on Hulu, but my stupid computer kept breaking down. Pee-pee is yellow. Hey, have you been watching Agent Carter with Haley Atwell? She's so beautiful. More actresses should look like that from the front and back. Well, that's about all I had to say about Mike's Daily Podcast. And on the last show, we found out Benita is addicted to Oprah's network. Mike's and then we told her podcast she could twerk. Yeah! If she wanted to. Like Katie Couric. There's this guy that pulled up in front of my house. Well, a couple houses down. And look who just walked in. Hello, Michael Matthews. This is Madame Rootabega. Yes, I saw that guy. Here's Mr. City. Yeah, what they do now is they go right up over the manhole cover in the middle of the street and they'll park the truck. And then they do something. There's some kind of mechanism underneath the truck that lifts the manhole cover and does like puts a camera down there. I don't know what they do. But my street isn't very big. And see, this is the thing that I found, the buyer's remorse when I bought this house over 5 years ago. And that is I didn't realize I live on a busy street. It looked like it was a nice little neighborhood, quiet street. No, it turns into the 405 at like 7 o'clock in the morning. Cars going back, there's not enough room. And all of a sudden this truck is parked in the middle of the road. It's quite dangerous. The guy was brave that did that. The truck driver working for the city. At one point, though, at the time, he stopped the truck. It wasn't that busy. But there was a moment I saw through my window where like a guy was careening up the street in one of those fake VW bugs, Beetles, whatever. And there was another guy going the other direction, and they were trying to cut it really close in the little space that the truck had left. And the guy from the truck yells out, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" But luckily he got his job done quick and he got out of there. The street is crazy busy. I do not get it. But it is very difficult to find any streets in the Bay Area that are not crazy busy. Look who else just walked in.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, why did you not watch Sleepy Hollow last night, eh?
Yeah, it's because of Hulu and my computer. So I don't know. Do you have a Windows product? Does it run on Microsoft? All my computers are having to go through updates today. And this one computer that I watch the Hulu on that's connected to my TV, it just was it like was updating and then became unresponsive and went into a coma.
Well, Mike, that's really tragic. You know, Bison Bentley and I don't really watch the TV anymore.
Yeah, in fact, that is in our cartoon today. Bison Bentley and I are talking. That's right, Mike. We are discussing the fact that we do not watch TV anymore, and all I watch is Netflix. Do you know that? I gave Netflix a free plug, but I still have to pay for it. Do you know that? Yeah, and that's more and more the way people are going, it appears. They're stopping their cable connection and just going with internet connection. Let's hear it for Simply Internet Connections. Thanks to the internet, you can listen to this show. But there is some big TV news, and that is Jon Stewart is leaving The Daily Show after all these years. I was shocked to hear he'd actually been doing the show for 17 years. I haven't been watching it lately. I think I've mentioned this before, that I'm not a big fan of the show because they do the low-hanging fruit thing, where all they do is talk about Fox News and how ridiculous they are. And that's easy to say because ridiculous they are. But the fact is, it was a good show for a long time. Very clever writers. So much great talent came from there. Steve Carell, Stephen Colbert, Ed Helms. But Jon Stewart I love his... See, there was Craig Kilborn before him, and Craig was he was funny, but he was a good-looking guy, funny, and he didn't have the heart on the sleeve aspect that Jon Stewart did. You would never see Craig just like open up and talk about... I don't think Craig could do the show after 9/11. Jon Stewart, he waited a couple of weeks, and then he did this, I think, like 10-minute monologue where he just talks about what it means to be a New Yorker and how hard it was to get back into doing a comedy show after something so tragic had happened. So Jon Stewart, he'll be doing something else, he mentioned in his announcement. He's still doing the show until an undisclosed time, but yeah. And then Brian Williams, of course, he's off the TV, and we talk about that in the cartoon, which you can see at mikesdailypodcast.com. Michael Master, I'm going to get you a date with Haley Atwell. The what? No. Agent Carter? That's impossible. Yeah, I was just trying to get your spirits up. Oh, you sounded a little down after that last part. Yeah, Haley Atwell is beautiful. But she's British. You know, what would we talk about? We talk completely different languages. And she's way younger than me, and, you know, she's on a major TV show. So we don't have a lot to connect on there.
Mike, you could connect on the fact that you guys both have skin day.
Yeah, Mike, that's a good base topic. Do you know that? Thanks, guys. That's a great suggestion. Did you know Europe, speaking of Europe, because we were, kinda, they sent a spaceship up into the air, into, I guess, what you would call space. About 100 minutes after blasting off aboard a Vega rocket today, the European Space Agency's prototype spaceplane, called the Intermediate Experimental Vehicle, or IXV, made a parachute descent back to Earth, completing a test flight aimed at developing technologies for reusable spaceships and atmospheric re-entry. This according to news.discovery.com. The Vega rocket, which lifted off at 8:40 this morning, Eastern Standard Time, from Europe's spaceport in Kourou, French Guiana, delivered IXV to an altitude of 211 miles. The 2-ton vehicle continued up to about 256 miles, roughly the altitude of the International Space Station's orbit, and then it began to glide back down to Earth. More than 300 sensors aboard recorded data as the 16-foot-long wingless IXV maneuvered, passing from hypersonic to subsonic speeds. It hit the atmosphere at a speed of about 16,707 miles per hour, the same speed of a spacecraft returning for low Earth orbits. The IXV has a lifting body shape, which allows the vehicle to interact with the atmosphere, generating lift like an airplane, but without wings. This allows the vehicle to be guided during re-entry for a more precise point during the re-entry. Now, the European Space Agency says that it expects to release initial results from the test in about 6 weeks. So we have NASA and they have ESA. And I once knew a girl named Teresa, but she wasn't a space agency, as far as I knew. What do you think of European spaceships? What do you think of the whole Haley Atwell and Jon Stewart and Brian Williams and trucks that park in front of your car and cause your street to become a highway danger zone? Email me, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. We read your comments on the section emails from email. And email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show or if you'd like to sponsor the show. mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. And there is the website, mikesdailypodcast.com, where there are links to where to listen to the show in iTunes, rate the show, and comment on the show in iTunes, and more people find out about us. As you heard at the beginning of the show, it is difficult to be seen on iTunes or Stitcher unless you pay gobs of money or you have a very important name. There are also links to where to find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podomatic, Mixcloud, Spreaker. We can be heard on all of those platforms. Tell your friends about the show through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Yelp. Like the Facebook page, and when I post a new show, share it with your friends and more people will find out about us. I'm on Tumblr too, although a lot of people still go, "What's a Tumblr?" I call those people old. And then there is the Amazon link. If you want to buy anything on Amazon, please go through Mike's Daily Podcast first, and it helps out our show. It just doesn't change the way you shop. Unfortunately, it doesn't give you a discount, but it does give us a little bit of support if you buy something through the Amazon link at mikesdailypodcast.com, where you can also find the blog, the daily podcast picture, and all my past interviews. Speaking of which,
Into an interview.
I'm speaking with Tom Roram from the band LOWLANDS in Seattle, Washington, where he is right now. We're talking via Skype, and I'm watching him drink a beer, and I'm getting really jealous. It looks good. And he's a font of knowledge for beers in Seattle. And tell me about putting this album together, The Whale.
Yeah, the songs are actually songs that we've been playing live for a while now. So we have been kind of refining the sound of these songs for a good while. And so going into the studio, that helped quite a bit getting us prepared. And so this summer, like I said before, we added 2 new members. And so really our job in the summer was get them up to speed on these songs that we were thinking about recording. And then we went into the studio at the end of September. And we've just kind of felt like these were the songs that felt the strongest, that they share similar themes, but that they're diverse enough that it shows what our band can do, musically speaking.
And who is the producer?
Produced, recorded, and mixed and mastered by a wonderful guy named Martin Febier.
Martin Febier.
Yeah, and he owns a studio here in Seattle called Jupiter Studios, and very phenomenal producer. I mean, it was super fun to work with. He's British, so he has a lot of fun mannerisms and fun sayings that he would say during this studio session. So it was good.
I bet they're good. Like, cheerio. I can't think of any British expression.
Well, he would call us lovelies a lot. So he'd be like, "That's great, lovelies. Thank you. Let's try it one more time."
Give it another go.
Yeah, give it another go.
Pinch your cheek, tiddlyweek. I don't know. And I watch like a lot of British TV shows, and I'll laugh at some of the sayings, and then I can never remember them. But yeah, so I wanted to also ask you about the venues that you play in Seattle, and what are some of the ones you like to play?
Actually, so we're releasing this record at the end of this month at a venue called the Sunset Tavern, And the Sunset, it has just been renovated, and it's been turned into this phenomenal small intimate venue. And the max capacity is about, I think, 150 to 200 people, I think. So not huge, this isn't a big arena or anything like that, but it's they've got a great sound system now. It's a great setup, beautiful bar. It's really a phenomenal place to play. So that's quite a great one. So we're really excited about that. Connor Byrne, like you said, is one of my favorites just because it's a great little bar, and usually you can get a good crowd there. The open mic is a lot of fun. And then the best venue I've ever played at in Seattle is at the Triple Door. And that was like the very first show that we did as a band, like 4 years ago. A friend of mine was playing there, and he asked us to open for him, and it was very kind of him, and we were able to play. And it's this dinner venue kind of, so there's like seated, and it's beautiful stage, and they've got these awesome lights behind you, and best sound I've ever had on stage. I mean, it was a treat to play there. So
Triple Door.
Triple Door, yeah.
I almost said Jean Triplehorn because she's an amazing actress.
Yeah,
and then and she's beautiful. And then Sunset Tavern is another good place. Okay, to check out. What's one of the strangest venues in your entire music career that you played?
That is a great question. So I played an acoustic show in Stockton, California, and it was in like an art gallery, and it was like a warehouse type art gallery, and they had like opened this like storage door, and it was in this like really sketchy part of town. I mean, it looked like a post-apocalyptic world outside. And this really creepy art was all around. I mean, it was very cool in one way, but very weird. It was a weird vibe. There's some weird vibes going on.
Wait, was that a Brian Jackson thing? He's the guy that he came here with Kai Alfred Hillig and Daniel G. Harmon last year. And then they went on to play at a couple interesting venues like in Modesto and Stockton. Yeah. You weren't on that tour, were you?
No. This was like 2008.
Oh, okay.
This was a while ago. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, now some of your music reminds me a little bit of Crowded House, which I was a big fan of.
Yeah.
And in fact, they have an album called The Temple of Low Men.
Oh, nice.
and that remind me of Lowlands.
Mm-hmm.
So, but were you influenced at all by Crowded House, or who were some of your influences?
Yeah, no, Crowded House, that's a new one. I haven't heard that one before. For what we sound like. No, that isn't the Crowded House. Not a huge influence for me. For me, some of the bigger influences, definitely like Radiohead and Wilco are two of my like favorite bands. And then there's a band called Punch Brothers, which is a kind of a bluegrass setup, but they're all virtuosos on their instruments and can play anything. And they're definitely pretty influential for me. So.
Well, I want to play Passionate Soul, the song Passionate Soul, and it's got a nice, beautiful shuffle to it.
Yeah.
As you're shuffling there. And we're doing a music shuffle.
Yeah.
Shuffle. But it's a great song. How did this song come about?
Yeah, so I actually wrote this song a long time ago. It was been almost like 5 years, so it's always been in the rotation of songs that we've played live. And I initially wrote it as like, kind of as an anthem for pursuing this ridiculous career choice that I'm choosing right now of playing music, and that you have to be very diligent about everything that you do. And so the themes of it, I'm kind of just like letting go of the fears that I have, essentially. So it came together really quick when I wrote it, but it's always stuck with every form of the band that we've had, which has been pretty fun.
Wow, so it's lasted it's stood the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's Passionate Soul from the album The Whale. It's Lowlands, and Tom Roram we're speaking to on Mike's Daily Podcast. That is Passionate Soul by the Lowlands with Tom Roram. We'll speak with Tom again tomorrow as we go outside of the last place on earth where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley, California. Tomorrow, part 3 of our Into an Interview.
And here's today's podcast picture.
The picture is that conversation between Bison Bentley and I in cartoon form. See that drawing now at mikesdailypodcast.com. And along with part 3 of the Into an Interview tomorrow with Lowlands, we will also hear from Shelley Schuhart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the Engineer.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!